It feels so good to be back. This is the first video of 2020. Happy New Year. Very belated. A Happy New Year. And I will explain in a little bit why I've been so busy, why I haven't really uploaded anything. But for now, in this episode, we are going to cover all things to do with feedback, how to give it, how to take it, and also how to best deal with it in a professional environment, because after all, we are all artists and we have to know how to best deal with constructive criticism. On top of that, on this episode, I'm gonna do a giveaway of knowledge of something that you all might enjoy. So stay tuned to the end of the video so you know what I am talking about. But for now, let's get started with this episode. This is episode 37. Let's get to it. I haven't really done any videos this year, but it feels really good to be with you here. The reason why is because at work things have been incredibly busy since the very beginning of the year, deadline after deadline, but it's all for good reasons, because the content that we're putting out there, I think it justifies it, people are loving it, so awesome. And also on my private life has also been really busy, to do with family, to do with external forces, but once again, all positive. I will give you guys some more news soon of something that is going to happen over the next couple of weeks that hopefully is going to make you guys look forward to certain things. But for now, I'll leave it at that. It's just been a lot to deal with, so I haven't really had time to do any videos this year, but this is hopefully the first of many, and then I will actually keep on that weekly cadence that I had all last year and a little bit of the year before. But without further ado, let's get started with this episode and let's talk about feedback. What is the best type of feedback? Like, who can I ask and actually get the information that I want at once? Because there's this illusion as an animator, especially when you're getting started, that there's always going to be someone, the one person that you can ask all the questions and they will have all the answers. And unfortunately, that is not true, because everyone is an individual, and especially animators, we all have different types of workflows, we all have different types of thinking and how to implement your animation. Most likely what's going to happen to you, you are going to have to ask questions to different people in order to get answers that really click with you personally. So the best of feedback, to keep it short, is actually from anyone. So you can ask anyone for feedback, because there's two realms that you are going to live as an animator. One side, you are going to have the people that don't know anything about animation, and the other side, you're going to have the experts of animation that have been doing it for a long time. Most animators have the tendency to lean towards the experts because you think they have all the answers. But in reality, the people that you're trying to please with your animations are going to be the people that don't know anything about animation. Any person that doesn't know anything technical about animation can actually see your shot and be like, this is entertaining, is really cool. Or they can be like, what are you trying to achieve here? I'm not sure I understand. So if it's the second example that actually you get as a response from the person, most likely you're not really doing it well and you have to go back to the drawing board and rethink your shot. If a person that doesn't know animation cannot really see entertainment on your shot, then probably that shot will fail if you send it to a studio, because ultimately you want to entertain with your animation. So don't dismiss anyone's viewpoint. Make sure you take it all in and then distill it and make sure that you only take what works for you and then put that stuff in your shot, make it work, make it shine. First impressions are everything. Doesn't matter if it's you actually presenting yourself as a person to someone else. They also work when it comes to your animation shots. When you're trying to showcase your shots to anyone, make sure that you don't explain what you're trying to achieve. What you'll do is actually, even though you have that strong feeling inside of you to explain the piece to someone, you actually just show it and don't say anything and just wait for the reactions, because the first reactions they're going to have are most likely going to be your most useful feedback that you're going to get. If they don't say anything and they look confused, maybe that's what you have to take from it. Because if it's someone that likes you as a person, a friend, girlfriend, parent, they will most likely be like, okay, I can see that it's something, and I can see that he's punching someone. And that actually sounds positive, but if you look at their expressions, if you look at their face or what they're trying to say really, they are really confused with your piece. Something is not working. So if that's the first reaction that you get, then ask them, what do you think is not working? Because I could see that you were a little confused about it. So that is the bit that you actually want to take with you, and that's the bit that you want to improve on. If he's an expert of animation, those butterfly in your stomach kind of feelings, they're going to be even stronger, because you're showing it to someone that perhaps you look up to, perhaps someone that you want to be like. So you really have the tendency to be like, well, this piece is this thing and that thing, what do you think? Don't actually say anything. Just allow them to actually kind of take some time, look at your piece and make their own minds. Another thing that happens with professionals is that we don't get impressed so fast, because obviously you've seen quite a few things out there. So because you don't get excited so fast, there is not an immediate reaction most of the times. So for junior animators, not having that immediate reaction to a junior animator, perhaps it might be telling of like he doesn't like it, but it's not necessarily true. A lot of the times we might like it, we just are trying to analyze it to see what is wrong with it. Because a lot of the times the first thing that jumps in your mind is like, something is wrong, I just don't know what it is. And then you get stuck into the mindset. And then you can talk to someone and be like, okay, so here's what's wrong. And that little bit actually takes over everything. And then all of a sudden, the only thing the person can hear that is showing the work, especially if he's a new animator, is just like negative, negative, criticism, criticism, negative, negative, and the person just goes. So it kind of feels like someone is telling you off, or is telling you that you've done all the things wrong. But a lot of the times, you have to ask, but what do you think about the piece overall? Do you think it works? Do you think it's entertaining? Do you think I am actually selling the idea that I'm trying to convey here? That is normally enough for someone like myself to snap out of it and be like, oh yeah, of course. No, it looks really cool. I can see what you're trying to do. It's really awesome. It's just, if you change these little things, it's gonna be better. First impressions, make sure that you actually show it, don't say anything, and just take on the feedback. After that first initial feedback, then you can be like, okay, with this piece, I was trying to achieve these things. Then you're probably gonna get a secondary reaction, and people are gonna understand more what you're trying to say. But originally, on the first time that you show it, don't say anything, just show it, get the feedback, get the reaction, and then evolve on that, build on that, and just take it to town. Make it better, make it awesome. You want to keep yourself open, no matter what happens to you, no matter if someone actually gives you feedback that is incredibly harsh. Different people will give you different types of feedback, and that feedback is going to be harsh at times, especially if it comes from someone that is very busy, a director perhaps, a lead that has a big team. Perhaps that person doesn't have time to kind of sugarcoat things and be like, look, you just have to change this, change that, do this, do that, go to town, done, next. And then they go to the next person and they give them feedback. Sometimes it's like that. You cannot expect everyone to just be really nice with you all the time. As long as you know that person doesn't mean you any harm, and 9 times out of 10, there's no harm intended whatsoever, they just want you to actually improve your shot, then you're going to be in a better mental space, and you're going to be able to improve your work by actually listening to the person. So make sure you take that information, especially if it's someone that you know is good, you know is talented. Make sure you take that information, you kind of build it within you, and you be like, okay, so I can actually be better. This person is telling me these things because they care, because they're genuinely there for me, and they believe in me. So I need to listen to this, kind of internalize it, and make myself better. Something that actually always inspires me when I feel like I had feedback that perhaps is a bit harsh. I always read the Richard Williams book, because in the beginning he actually talks about how Milt Kahl used to give him feedback, and it was the harshest feedback possible, like tearing drawings apart, throwing them in the bin and shouting at him and stuff. And he never took that as a negative. He always took it as in, I admire this guy obviously knows what he's doing. So let me listen to him, and let me really listen to him, because I think he cares about me. He can see the talent in me, even though he doesn't say it directly. He just wants me to be better. So he actually kind of ignored that bit, went to town, made his work better, and eventually became an incredibly talented draftsman. And that's basically what you need to achieve. Nowadays things are so much better than they were before, so you can already consider yourself lucky to actually be in this situation now that people are much more sensitive to your feelings. So yeah, think about that if it makes you feel better, or something that you had an experience perhaps, and hopefully it will give you power to overcome that feeling that we all have sometimes of like being sensitive or being slightly insecure within ourselves, that normally kind of sparks even more negativity down the line. So yeah, think about that and keep it positive. Giving feedback allows animators, certain animators, that to feel very secure in themselves, that they know what they are doing. And in my experience, what happens is that a lot of people have an eye for animation, a lot of people can give good feedback, but that doesn't necessarily mean that having a nice eye for animation and having the skill to give good feedback makes you a good animator. A good animator will actually have been gone through all these motions of giving and receiving feedback, and normally the best animators, normally they actually give you feedback in a way that is actually really positive and for you to understand what they're trying to say. And they will also talk about their own experiences, because sometimes things don't click unless they'll be like, well, there was this one time that I was working on this one movie and I did this one thing and it was exactly what you're trying to do now, and it was completely rubbish for these reasons. So if I give you this feedback now about this one thing, I think this is why it's going to be better. And that actually opens your mind as an animator to be like, oh, okay, so this is something that happens to other people, not just myself. Okay, now I need to listen, pay attention. Okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. You should always make sure that you're very careful who you ask feedback to, and make sure that you don't see someone that actually has a lot of feedback for you as someone that knows it all. Because being a good animator and giving feedback, good feedback, are actually two different things. They go hand in hand, but one does not equate to the other. Also, when you give feedback, make sure that you also give it as you would like to receive it. When you give feedback, make sure that the first thing you acknowledge is how good the piece is, if it is good. And then if it is good and it makes you excited, then tell the person why you're excited about. Like, wow, this piece is really, really cool. Man, I cannot wait until you finish this bit, or whenever you actually finish the whole piece. Point to the positive straight away, because that will actually open up the animator to listen to the feedback that you have. And then point out the things that perhaps you personally would do differently, and point out the things that are genuinely you think they are completely wrong in terms of like maybe body dynamics. Yeah, leave to the end that personal vibe of like, if it was me, I think I would do it more this way. Have you thought about this other thing? It might unlock other ideas for the animator, because that actually strengthens the shot, because we get so zoned into what we're doing that we just want to achieve and get to the end line. So when someone comes across and be like, have you thought about this other thing that you never even thought of because you're just trying to finish the piece, sometimes actually goes like, wow, this is a great idea. If I add that on top of my piece, it's going to just make it 200 times better. So yeah, think about those stages. Like, give positive feedback first. Make sure that when I give feedback, you just look at what's genuinely mechanically wrong, things that genuinely stand out, and then leave to the end your personal opinions about like perhaps this, perhaps that, I would do it this way, perhaps if you thought about this other thing, that would actually maybe open up ideas to the animator. So yeah, that's basically it. Giving feedback is easy. Make sure when you do it right, and you leave room for creativity. Make sure that you understand that each animator is individual, and you want to make the most out of that individuality of the animator, and you want to make sure they shine in their work instead of they're doing what you asked them to do specifically. So that is what giving feedback is like to me, and the best people that I've met throughout the industry have always had those things in common. So the free giveaway that I have, it's 1 week of my animation workshop for one of you guys out there. We just have to enter this competition that is basically you sending me your shots so I can review them, and then out of all the shots that I'm gonna see, I'm gonna pick one winner, and that one winner is gonna have a 1 week workshop with me, and that workshop is gonna have us talking to each other via Skype so I can understand what you are trying to achieve with that one piece. And also, I'm gonna review it, I'm gonna give you feedback and how we can actually make it better, and go into details, nitty-gritty about how to actually kind of get to the next level of animation. So a feedback session, but just with a lot of details, one-on-one. So that is what's available for one of you winners out there, a 1 week workshop with me. And I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. So make sure that you send your shots to the link down below in the comments so I can review them. I'm really looking forward to actually seeing a lot of your work out there. I've been out of the channel for a while, so I think it's only right for me to give back to you guys. So I've been enjoying the workshop a lot. I've been enjoying working with my students, so maybe it's time for me to open it up a little bit more and start doing weekly workshops with one of you guys, just so you guys can have a taste of what it is like. You have 2 weeks to actually do it, so the competition is gonna run for 2 weeks, and then maybe in a week or two after that, I will actually upload the final result, the winner, and how that came about. So I hope you guys are excited as I am for this giveaway, and I'll be looking forward to seeing all your shots very, very soon. So I remember perfectly how hard it was to receive feedback right at the beginning. When you first start your career, especially when you come from a place that people have been giving you props for your work as you kind of come along, obviously not animators, not professionals, but people have been giving you props for your work. When you go into the industry, there's this false sense of like, I am going to do so well when I'm actually there, because then I'm going to be surrounded by professionals and I'm going to have so much feedback and I can just grow and be amazing. So when you first get started, the first company that I was actually quite harsh when it comes to the feedback. It was very much like go, 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 go. The games that we did back then had incredibly aggressive deadlines, 6 months, 8 months. So we had to do so much work in a very little space of time. So the feedback that I got, instead of being like, okay, so Harvey, explain what you actually got from the shot and what do you want to achieve. So I would explain, and then the person would be like, okay, so let's see, maybe you should actually change this and that because of this. That's what I thought in my mind it was going to be like. Instead, it was very much like, Harvey, let me see what you got. Okay, so this is completely wrong. I think you need to start again, and you have half a day to do it. Cool. Show me tomorrow how you've done. And they would just walk out and be like, oh my God, I don't know. Now I don't know what to do. So after a few weeks, a few months, I started having the feeling that I didn't know what I was doing, and did I even deserve to be an animator? And it was incredibly bad, and I felt like my work was actually kind of getting worse and worse because my confidence was going down. So all of a sudden I'm like, I know nothing. How am I supposed to do a shot that is good? But thankfully I had like a couple of animators that actually helped me throughout the whole thing. Shout out to Graham. Graham was there on the first company. He's an incredibly talented animator. That it was a 2D animator, worked on Tarzan and stuff. And he helped me so much through these hard times. Understanding what good criticism was from bad criticism. Understanding how not to take it to heart. He was giving me feedback that was much more in line with what I had in my mind. Jason, my mentor, was another person that actually helped me so much, and he gave me feedback like incredibly well. So I just felt like whenever it came to my day to give feedback and teach others, I would actually follow in their footsteps instead of following into that, like, you need to be a hard ass because people need to understand that this is hard because it's a hard industry and all this stuff. Because I think that does kill artistry. That does kill the positive vibe that you have inside, that little kid that wants to actually make the world changed. So don't let yourself kind of fall into that trap. Make sure you actually keep with a passion of animation. Make sure you have that attitude of like, no one can actually take this passion from me, no matter how the feedback is given to me. So yeah, I think that's all I had for you guys this week. I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great rest of the week, and until then, stay well, stay safe. Peace.